Hello, and thanks for listening to Lists. This is just a quick heads up before we begin. Colby and I ended up having a really fun and interesting conversation, or at least we thought so, this episode. So instead of trying to edit it down, we decided to keep it all. Therefore, this is a two-part episode. So this part one is going to take you through our number sixes. And after that, be sure and find part two to get the rest of our lists and the reveal of next week's list topic. Anyway, that's the heads up. Let's go ahead and start this thing.
Hello, welcome back to the second episode of Lists, a podcast where we count down our top picks in a variety of categories as a springboard into deeper or dumber conversations about art, media, and popular culture. My name is Colby Cuppernell.
And I'm Scott Cassidy. So here we are, second episode. We're podcast veterans now.
Okay.
That's how that works, right?
I think we were veterans the moment we came up with an idea. That's how we've done everything else in our lives.
Yeah, sure. It works for me. Yeah, so anyway, if you're just joining us for the first time, the way this kind of works is we come up with list ideas and then we go to our respective corners and come up with answers. Then we get back together and count down to each other and get into very level-headed and intelligent conversations about it. So yeah, and I guess before we move on to this week, we should begin the... Well, yeah. We should begin the show, though, by going over last week. We already got some feedback, which is awesome.
Thank you for that. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do. I just want to start with a little bit of a correction, just because it bothers me.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
No, I know this one, and this is bad.
Yeah, I know. So on both of our lists last week, which was the top 10 fictional detectives...
Good list.
We both had Rick Deckard, the character, played by Harrison Ford in the movie Blade Runner.
Indeed.
And then we got into talking about how I have an artist poster on my wall that I found that depicts a moment from early in the film that is I don't know, my happy place.
That's
anyway,
not how you phrased it then, but okay.
Well, yeah, okay, we'll move on. And then we keep referring to, I think we were trying to describe the feel of that scene.
Yeah, it wasn't so much that we stated as a fact, a hard fact. Obviously, this is something we both know, but it was definitely the feel of it. And well, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, we both know that the setting for that movie
is not Hong Kong.
It's not Hong Kong. It is future Los Angeles. Yes. I know.
And thank you, movie buffs, non-movie buffs, for pointing out to us how stupid we are. We do know that. You probably don't believe us.
That's okay. It'll be the first of many errors we make during this thing.
Apologies.
That's
fine. Written letters of apology. Press statements.
So anyway, I wanted to start with that one because I went back and listened and that bugged me too. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, that's no good. We should have clarified that.
Yeah. And then I do want to highlight one email that we got from a listener who said that they didn't really... had never seen or read much of either of our lists, but that they still really enjoyed the episode because they got a lot of great recommendations of stuff to check out, which is awesome. That's kind of definitely one of the ideas of this format, to be a recommendation machine. That would be cool. And anyway, they emailed, they're already 8 episodes into the first season of Hannibal.
Which is a lot better than I did since last time.
Oh, you didn't try anything?
I have not tried any of the things I said I was going to try. Look, I'm busy, man. I got stuff.
Yeah, no, I know. Me too.
Plus,
I haven't
Stranger
looked
Things.
into any of your stuff either. Yeah, no, I binged that too. But anyway, thank you to Barb for the email, and I'm very anxious. I hope you like it. Now that you are like binging it based on my recommendation.
8 episodes in, you gotta be liking something about it.
Yeah, I guess.
That's pretty impressive. You got a successful, or semi-successful, at least for now, recommendation. Good on you, man. I'm a little bummed nobody, where's the love for mine? But, all right, whatever.
It's fine. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for the feedback, and we love to hear from you. And the more we hear from you, the more we'll share some stuff here at the top of episodes. So that's great.
Definitely check. You're gonna want to check out the social media sites for the feedback on Indiana Jones. That was definitely entertaining.
Yeah, it was a controversy. Let's put it that way.
Well, all right. Not so much controversy as people very strongly disagreeing with me, but I stand my ground. Indiana Jones, and guess what? Spoiler alert: Indiana Jones is my top album.
It would be. That makes sense. So anyway, you mentioned this week's episode, and I think before we get into it, I don't know. You'll see our episode topics. At least the idea here in the beginning is we're going to do movies and TV and books and music and stuff like that. And if we are experts on anything, I suppose you would be our literary expert, seeing as you are a writer.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm uncomfortable with that term, but
sure.
Also very comfortable with it.
And I suppose, speaking of uncomfortable things, that I am a filmmaker, directed a few things. So I guess my area would be film and TV.
So yeah, and this isn't just this isn't self-proclaimed stuff. We are educated in these fields. Scott, you did obviously.
I have multiple degrees in film for no good reason,
and
other than
have
student loan debt.
Multiple degrees and plenty of student loan debt to prove it in English, and with a specific bent towards creative writing. And I teach high school English right now after many years of teaching college English. So, I mean,
basically,
literature is my
everyone
area.
Listening to us, don't do that. Like, get a degree in finance.
No,
be smart.
Dear God, the liberal arts are amazing and so necessary. And in today's day and age, oh my God, they couldn't be more necessary than.
But do them for free at the library.
Do them? No, no. I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to push back on that. Okay.
All right.
I used to be jokingly kind of in that camp. Don't do it for free at the library. You need somebody who's studied this stuff, who's made it their life. You need somebody who really lives and breathes this stuff to have these discussions with and to kind of guide you through that. Take the classes. Like, honestly, take the classes, whatever you need to do. Take classes that are audiobooks or are TED Talks, things like that. Listen to experts in these fields. The liberal arts are super important, but minor in them. don't major in them. Minor in them.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, the point of saying all that is that this week's list being music, it'll be interesting to see.
And when we,
how that goes for us.
So here's the thing, and I want to clarify this because there are some things that in the intervening time you and I have talked about with regard to this list. But I do want to make sure people know we don't talk about what's on our lists in between.
No.
Like I'm hearing his for the first time tonight, and he's hearing mine for the first time tonight. And during the week, I mean, I honestly, this is honestly speaking, I have no earthly idea what is going to be on your list. And we've exchanged text messages a few times about the list because we found that this was really hard. And I'm thinking that that's a good thing. And one thing I really want to do, I want to encourage people to try this list on your own because, man, it was tough, but it was also a really fun exercise. And I ended up listening to a lot of awesome music because of it.
Yeah, it got really personal and introspective for me. Like, I don't really know how else to approach this.
Well, I think, and as we were texting about this, we kind of chatted about it a little bit. Is that okay? So, of all these media that we are investigating and looking at through these lists, music, to me, I mean, I think it's got to be the most deeply personal. I mean, music.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, people. It's the soundtrack to people's lives.
Right.
Science tells us that scent is the closest sense tied to memory, right?
Apparently, I have no sense of smell, but I believe it.
That's true. You don't. Wow.
Yeah, it's
that must mess with your
memory.
Fact
so about me, I have no sense of smell.
I
anyway.
Remember I learned that for the first time, and it blew my mind, and I tested you.
Yeah, no, I have none.
Yeah, that's so weird. Food can't even taste. Whatever.
I have taste buds. It's just probably different.
But the olfactory, whatever. All right, we're not going to get into it. This isn't a science pod. All right, look it up.
Oh God, no.
Look up the link between the two. I'll tell you what, having kids and changing diapers, you're a lucky man.
Yeah, I dodged that bullet. That was pretty good. No issues for me.
Dear God, my daughter right now. Anyway, but the point is, so as I'm doing this, I am remembering things from deep childhood, but also remembering things from 10, 15 years ago, things from college, things from high school, it's very much tied to a place and a time. I can remember exactly where I was and what I was doing when I was listening to certain albums or certain songs even. It's a cool thing. Music is so personal. And obviously, are you going to have heard of everything that's going to be on our list? No.
Of course.
Are you going to like everything that's on our list? No.
Probably not.
But I think the discussion is going to be where it gets interesting, talking about, because this list is not what are your top 10 albums of all time. That's a very different list.
Yeah.
This is what are the top 10 most influential to your current taste in music. And that's what made it really tough. And I think what will make it interesting to other people.
Yeah, I'm excited to get started on it.
Yeah, I mean, it created this weird spider web for me. Did you find that?
In what way?
So I for example, I'd have an album in mind, and then in my head or on a piece of paper, I've got just webs and lines out to this artist and that artist and this album and that album are all just closely related to it. And I'm trying to figure out which of these nodes is the center.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that once we get going.
Yeah, we're kind of jumping the gun here. But anyway, all right, so that's the list. The list is what are the top 10 most influential albums to your current taste in music. So Scott, what were the rules we set up?
Well, we basically said no repeat artists.
Which ended up being a real tough one for me. And remember, that was one that I had a little pause on.
Yeah, that didn't bother me.
Right. Interesting. When I get to it, I'll tell you why it bothered me.
Okay. I mean, I knew that was the rule, and so I didn't even consider it. And if I thought of an artist, I'm like, okay, what's the one album? Yeah. That helped me.
All right, well, I'll say this. Yeah. If you listen to last week's episode, and there was an issue I brought up with that, I ran into precisely the issue with precisely the band I mentioned.
Well, I'm so sorry for you.
Look, I'm a man of great insight, great self-awareness. These things happen.
Sure.
All right, so that wraps up kind of our last episode. And so what we want to do right now is we're just going to take a quick break to get some promo stuff in.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Lists. This podcast is infinitely more fun when we get to interact with you. So please send us your lists. Tell us whether you agree or disagree with ours. Join the conversation. Send us ideas for lists that you would like to hear a future episode be. And you can reach us directly by emailing us at liststhepod@gmail.com. That's listthepod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media at listthepod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can always find every episode of this podcast, links to all of our social media, poll questions, and all kinds of other good things on our website, liststhepodcast.com.
All right, that brings us back, and why don't we just get down to it? We've been kind of muttering about
I'm
it.
excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Again, this was hard, and I think there's going to be a lot of this was such a tough, but this is cool. This is going to be a good one. So let's hit it, man.
Top 10 albums that shaped your taste.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm excited. You want me to kick us off?
Do it.
I'm ready. So I will kick us off by doing what you did last week, and I am totally not going to go to number 10. I have to quickly go through some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's just no way I couldn't. So I have only 10 to quickly run down, and we'll see if all of this makes it to the actual edit of this episode.
Hold on. Are you saying you have 10 honorable mentions?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother list, man.
Hey, it's my podcast. I can do whatever I want.
You got a whole nother list of honorable mentions? Honorable mentions, you get like 3.
What? 3?
10 honorable mentions. You've got an honorable mention for every spot on your list. This is pure lunacy. This is anarchy.
All right, fine.
10. No, you run them down real quick. Let's hear them. 10. My goodness.
Really? You want me to do 10?
Do 10. Just do them quick.
Okay, I considered Coldplay, A Rush of Blood to the Head.
So
You made a joke about that, I think.
I did make a joke about it because Coldplay currently sucks. But that album is fantastic.
So considered that. I considered the White Stripes' Elephant. I definitely like me some. I listened to that a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
I thought about Stone Temple Pilots.
Whoa.
Some STP.
So, nice. Going back.
Specifically probably Purple. Yeah.
All right. Nice.
I considered Radiohead.
Yeah.
But I think by the time I was listening to them, like that was already kind of in my taste. So I don't know how influential they were for me.
Yeah. Radiohead's a band that's like on a list like this has got to come up. And I'm with you on that. Yeah. I'll just spoiler. Okay. I don't have Radiohead in my top 10. And the reason was kind of similar. I feel like I didn't start truly appreciating Radiohead until some other stuff clicked for me. And
sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Radiohead, holy cow! I love Radiohead.
Yeah, if I was gonna pick one, I was probably gonna do Kid A, but no, it didn't make my list.
They all just are so good.
And then another one that similarly didn't make my list because I didn't discover them until I was much older. My taste was more defined. But that is the Kinks. Specifically Arthur, or The Decline and Fall of the British Empire. It's a great concept album. I don't know. I love it.
Okay. All right.
And let's see. I had REM in consideration for a while.
Yeah, REM's so good. Did you know that I saw them? I was like 3 rows back.
No.
Yeah, saw them at Austin City Limits 2003. They headlined ACL 2003, and I just at the time didn't know much about REM. And people I was with were big REM fans, and we ended up like way up front. Man, they put on a hell of a show. It was awesome.
Yeah, so I considered them, but
a hugely influential band. Yes.
Yeah, but not really for me on my age and timeline.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Then I considered rap music, and I don't know if I listened to enough to have the biggest influencer to make my top 10. So I didn't.
Yeah.
But my answer, if there would have been a rap album on my top 10 most influential. For me personally, it would have been Kanye West's Graduation.
Oh, interesting. So more recent.
That came out in 2007.
Is it that? Wow.
Yeah, and I listen to that a lot. I don't know why that one particularly.
See, I'm kind of similar when it comes to rap. I listened to a lot of rap, and I still listen to rap actually quite a bit. But it was really hard for me.
It's more niche in my taste.
Yeah, it's kind of like. So I was thinking to myself, well, what jazz albums are? Because I listen to quite a bit of jazz now, but honestly, I don't listen to jazz in a very sophisticated way. I'm not going to say Kind of Blue is the most influential. That's, just such a layup. It's not anything. So I'm kind of the same with hip hop. Is my knowledge of it isn't deep enough, and I don't listen to it frequently enough for me to say that any rap album was hugely influential on my musical taste as it is now. That's not to say that I don't enjoy and did not enjoy a lot. So if I'm going with one, since you did, I'm going to say Wu-Tang Forever.
Oh, okay.
Wu-Tang Forever is an epic
That's good stuff.
double LP. I still, and this is so, it goes against like what you would think, but I have to tell you, when you need to get some work done, put on Wu-Tang Forever. Like, for me, it is the best grading papers music in the world.
Wow.
When I'm grading papers, I'm like, all right, time to bust out that Wu-Tang. It's go time.
Okay, cool. And then I got 3 more real quick.
Oh
and then we can start our list.
Yeah, sure. Let's start our list when we're done with the list.
Yeah, sure. That's what I thought. You probably don't know this about me at all.
What, you got like ABBA or something?
No. I considered Au revoir Simone for my list.
Huh?
Specifically The Bird of Music, which came out in 2007.
Dude, hold on. What the hell is this? Is this like a show tune?
No, it's they're a female trio of, I don't know, it's like synth heavy, kind of like dream pop.
Kind of like beach housey?
I mean, it's more electronic than that. But I don't know. It definitely opened some new branches on my tree of taste for me. So I thought about including that one. Again, not a big enough part of my taste to make the top 10.
Fair.
And then I have Red Hot Chili Peppers came really close. Specifically Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Early Chili.
Yeah, I have vivid memories of that album being played like all the way through at a like roller skating place.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm guessing your parents weren't there.
In circles. I think they dropped me off and left, and I was skating around in circles, as one does, listening to it and like, whoa, this is cool. And are anyone who's a grown-up listening to these lyrics? Like, this is okay?
Yeah. Oh, man.
But yeah,
one of my favorite songs of all time off that album is "I Could Have Lied." It's just the guitar and that. When I saw the Chili Peppers, I just had my fingers crossed the entire time, just going, please play it, please play it. And at that time, it was like 11 years old, and there was little chance, and they played it, and I just oh man.
Yeah, that's always cool.
Oh, it made me so deeply happy in my soul.
All right, and then the last one I have to mention that they didn't make my list is Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Now, when I was younger,
I was there.
They definitely would have made. You were there.
I was in that car.
Would have. Yeah.
I was singing
they
along.
They would have been my top 10 for sure. Okay, so yeah, they definitely would have been a big influence when I was younger, but my tastes now have definitely kind of moved away from any Zeppelin influence. So yeah, they missed my list, which was surprising a little bit for me. But then the more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
For the amount of Led Zeppelin that you and I listened to in high school, for them to not be on either of our lists is semi-shocking, but is also, I think,
either of our lists. Okay.
Yeah, no, not on mine either. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't even consider them. And I don't know that my taste got that far away from Zeppelin, because in many ways I can see how Zeppelin is a precursor to bands that did make my list. I don't know. I just
interesting.
It's hard to say, but for the amount of Zeppelin that we listened to in high school,
it was a lot.
God, we
were lead heads,
dude.
For sure.
Yeah, lead heads. 25 years too late, and but boy, we listened to a lot of Zeppelin in high school, and it was good. It was great. I think that's a testament to how much people change. Musical taste when you're in high school, which gives me hope because of the absolute garbage music my students listen to.
That said, a lot of my list is going to be from high school. But...
Oh, good God. All right. Oh, maybe I can remember a lot of that. I was present.
Yeah.
All right.
You were. All right. Well, enough honorable mentions. Sorry.
Oh, are we done with them?
Yes, we're done. I'm sorry.
Do you have a number for us now?
Yes, I have number 10.
All right. 2 hours in, we've got number 10.
All right. Here we go. We're only like 25 minutes.
Yeah, all right. What's number 10?
All right. Number 10. Top 10 albums that shaped your taste. So number 10 for me is on this list because I vividly remember, and this is dating me, getting on my skateboard and skateboarding down the street out of my neighborhood to a record store.
Really?
Which existed. And spending my own money that I had earned through doing chores and mowing lawns on my very first CD that I ever purchased.
Okay. And that would be?
And yes, CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
mine was tapes I purchased.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway.
Well, I was a CD. Very first was the album Rubberneck by the Toadies. Yep.
Really?
Yep. The first album I ever bought with my own money.
Oh my God. If you had given me
1,000 guesses,
50,000 guesses of bands, not even albums, bands, the Toadies would never.
Yep.
What? Wow. Okay.
And that's why they're on the list at 10, really. I mean, it was like...
Just because it was the first one you bought?
And I wore that thing out. It, got me into choosing my own music and listening to it, I guess.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask is, what's the influence on what you listen to today?
I mean, it's kind of, proggish punk rock type stuff, which is still something I'm into.
Holy crap.
I it's heavy nostalgia glasses, but I still like that album. So
I couldn't name a song off that album. I don't think I could name it.
Possum Kingdom maybe was probably the most famous.
So I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the 90s.
Hey, yeah, there's going to be more 90s, so be prepared.
Oh yeah, I think both of us are gonna. Yeah.
Laugh at each other's lists.
Well, I mean, we were at, I think both of us were what, 87, 6 when 1990 hit, and then you got 6 through 16.
Age 6 to 16. Yeah.
That's your childhood music right there.
It's kind of the influential time of your taste if you drill it all the way back, which is kind of what my list ended up being.
That's interesting. So yours was more of a drill back to...
Yeah, I found that being a lot of my choices, which you'll see.
Yeah, mine kind of started as a drill back like that, but then the more I kind of was thinking about albums that were, I don't want to say more recent, but really not that recent, but were more into say my 20s, the more I kept thinking, okay, those are just too big of benchmarks in my life to not be on this list. But anyway.
Okay, good. Our list should be quite different.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if we'll have any similar. Maybe one or two, but we'll see.
I'm very curious to see if we have any similar on this. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say I don't think we will have. I don't think we're gonna have a single one.
A single one in the top 10?
I don't think we're gonna have a single one in the top 10.
It's entirely possible.
Okay, so 10 for you.
Yep.
The Toadies.
Rubberneck by the Toadies. And this is an interesting podcast because we certainly cannot afford to play even a second of any of these songs.
But we
artists.
are going to post the crap out of YouTube videos to the website.
Yeah, we're going to give you examples, so come check it out there.
Yeah, you get a chance to hear Possum Kingdom. Get a little nostalgia
song,
for
man.
people. Hey, listen, I've got a video pulled up right now on my computer because I can't disassociate this particular performance from the album.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna have some definite links to stuff. It would be really cool if we could play stuff for you, but unfortunately, can't. And I'm not gonna sing it.
No, I think everyone will appreciate if neither of us sing a single second.
That's gonna be hard no.
Yeah, just trust us. You wouldn't like that.
No, they know.
I'm sure. All right, you're number 10.
All
Hit
right.
me.
So I'm not gonna do honorable mentions.
Well, you kind of talked during mine. Gave some of yours.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to because I've got. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half albums, almost another complete list.
Yeah, that's what I did.
That I would say are probably tied for number 10.
Gotcha.
Like all things considered, you could swap any one of those in at number 10. Rather than go through them, I'll throw them up on social media and on the site. That way,
Oh, okay, yeah.
People can kind of see my 10-way tie for number 10.
Gotcha. So what won the race for number 10?
So this was a hard-fought race in the end between two albums, and I will mention the one that did not make the cut. The one that did not make the cut was Nico Case's 2008 album, Fox Confessor Brings the Flood.
Really?
Nico Case, she's a member of the band The New Pornographers. Kind of hard to classify her. I think she's indie rock, but also kind of delves into Americana and some country stuff.
Cool.
I love Nico Case. She's fantastic. But the reason that she ended up being bumped was because of what actually made it to number 10, which is the Patsy Cline story. And I've got the 1988 version of that listed because that's the one that was floating around my house. But that did originally come out in 1963. So the Patsy Cline story, I mean, I feel like I have to explain who Patsy Cline is, do I? I mean, my God, if I have to explain who Patsy Cline is, you need to climb out from under a rock. She's a goddess. One of the greatest voices ever recorded. Famously one of those artists that passed away before their time. Walking After Midnight, Crazy. She's got a song called Strange that I absolutely adore. Arctic Monkeys actually did an amazing cover of that I'll post too.
Cool.
So anyway, the Patsy Cline story. Cline. I remember very vividly my grandmother playing that in her car, smoking cigarettes and driving us to the pond. And I remember my mom listening to it too. Patsy Cline was big in my house. And I think Patsy Cline for me was my introduction to Americana and sort of where my appreciation of good country music comes from now. Yeah, my taste in that comes from comes from Patsy Cline and Johnny Horton. And Patsy Cline's the album I went with, number 10.
All right. I like it. Yeah. I guess I'll move on to number 9.
All right, do it.
So, in order to really get why my number 9 is on this, I have to tell a little bit of a story. And again, a lot of these are tied to like vivid memories. So anyway, in middle school, I entered the school walkathon at the school. It was basically you had the whole day to rack up as many miles as you can.
They still do those. Prizes. They still do those.
They still do those?
Oh, yeah. My son's always hitting me up for walkathon money. So my mom was a volunteer organizer of it. So I knew what the prizes were. And I had my eyes specifically on one. So I took the walkathon like super seriously. I like blew off all my friends and like hydrated. And I'm like, I'm going to rack up these miles. And I got the prize. I'm not kidding you. Ooh. Over the 12-hour day, I did 27.2 miles. Wait, you walked a marathon?
More than a marathon. Oh, I ran. Are you kidding me? I don't know what age I was. I probably was about 10.
Oh my God. And this was all for...
all for a boombox.
Hey, that's an amazing prize.
For a 10-year-old, it was like $250.
Damn it, you're going to walk 27.2 miles for a boombox when you're 10 and it's 1993.
That's exactly right. So I won a boombox and I was so excited.
Good
I'm
for
like,
you.
I'm going to... Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm proud of you right now. I really am.
Thank you. Me too. It's my maybe greatest accomplishment. No,
it might be.
Hey, we were having a nice conversation.
I complimented you, then I had to go the other way. The universe must be balanced. All right, what would you play in this boombox? Right.
So anyway, I played a lot of things, but my specific memory and my number 9, an album that I played a ton, was 16 Stone by Bush.
Oh, man, I wore that album out too.
Oh, Machine Head, Glycerine, Come Down, Everything Zen.
Dude,
great album.
People will crap on Bush as being a band
a Nirvana ripoff.
They were coattail riders of the grunge movement, but I say nay. And they were British. So they were not a Seattle band.
But I love that album anyway.
No, I don't care. That album's fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Yep. And I have a vivid memory of, I don't know if it was because I was blasting it too loud or they didn't approve the lyrics or something, but my father bursting into my room, opening the top, grabbing the CD out, snapping it in half.
What?
Putting it down on the table, walking out of my room and closing the door.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. C, that is not cool.
I know. It was traumatizing.
Oh my God, no. And it's Bush. It's not like it was Nirvana. Oh man. What?
So, yeah, that was like music as the potential to be protest or like something.
Wait, no,
rebellion?
Hold on. Do not say that Bush was your music as protest. Because that makes you the lamest person alive.
I know, but apparently to my father, that's what it was.
That devil music, Bush.
Yeah. But anyway, that's a very clear memory. If by some miracle my father, you're listening to this, can you please explain to me why you snapped my CD in half?
And
what?
I beg of you, Mr. C, include me on this. I want to hear it as well. I want to hear the story. I want to hear how he remembers it.
Yeah. Well, it's so vivid. I'm sure it happened exactly like that.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, Number 9, 16 Stone by Bush.
Don't you ever apologize for liking that album. You can apologize for liking, like, say you were a huge Bush fan and you still are, and like you bought their most recent Nostalgia.
No, God,
you should apologize for that. No one in the world.
Just that one album.
For those of you out there who are thinking to yourselves, I had that album, I liked that, and I've never listened to it since. Don't you dare apologize for it. Don't you dare. My wife is always making me feel bad about liking the Gin Blossoms, and I will not apologize.
You sure?
I'm sure I will not.
Okay.
And you should not apologize for liking Bush.
I sort of still like Soul Asylum, talking about embarrassing.
All right, well, that's not okay. That's not okay. That's
all right,
legitimately not okay.
Moving on.
I'm concerned.
All right, you're number 9 then.
God.
You know?
Hey, Runaway Train, baby.
Hey, there you go. All right, number 9.
Hit all the feels. All right, okay. So, man, that part of me is wishing now that I had kept my 90s ones on here. Just because, much like you, my parents had very interesting responses to the music I listened to.
Well, I can tell you right now, my list is going to take care of the 90s for us.
Okay.
So do you.
Well, I will say, man. Okay. Well, hopefully your list will touch on the 2 that are breaking my heart not to have in there.
Okay.
But I'll do my number 9. This list is hard.
It's very hard.
So yeah,
everyone judging us right now, listening, like, try this for yourself.
Seriously, if you are going, well, you know, this can't be that hard, or I can't believe you picked an album from that time or this time, try it. Seriously, try it. It's ridiculously hard. My list of just brainstorming ended up being 40 albums right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That wasn't even looking through what I have. That wasn't a deep dive. That wasn't anything. That's just me jotting. Oh, man. This is hard. Okay, so number 9. I'm dilly-dallying here.
Yeah.
All right. My number 9 is, let's jump ahead a decade and a half to 2008, where an album came out that really just kind of one of those ones that shook me. And actually, I've got 1, 2, 3 albums on my list from 2008, which is pretty interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good year for music.
I guess.
And also, if Nico Case had made it, that would have been 4. That album, her Fox Confessor.
All right, what is it already?
Yeah, all right, I'm sorry. Okay. Just so 2008's self-titled debut by Fleet Foxes.
Oh, yeah. I love that album too.
Just such a good. Okay, so Fleet Foxes, a band.
That definitely. Well, that was in my initial jot down.
Okay,
so
I figured it probably would be.
Yeah. They're kind of a folk, a lot of harmonizing.
Yeah, and they've definitely gone more experimental with their more recent stuff, which is interesting. They're evolving as a band. Kind of imagine
I like
folky
most of all
Radiohead.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm.
But the
first
harmonies
one was straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one, I wouldn't call it straight folk, but it's definitely
more.
It feels like something you're listening to in the middle of a field of grass while you're picking flowers. And I mean that in the absolute best way possible. Like, Robin Pecknold's voice is astonishing. And
maybe one of my top 10 favorite sung songs ever is Oliver James.
Oliver James is a beautiful song. I mean, it is
we'll put a link up to that one for sure.
I mean, it's heartbreaking. Beautiful. That album is so full of songs that just get stuck in your head and you cannot help singing along to them, even though you basically try and make yourself like the 9th harmony line in there. And you're terrible.
Oh, but I didn't subject their music to that torture.
Oh, it is a beautiful album. It's a catchy album. It's got its slow moments, its tranquil moments. It's got its upbeat songs. It's just a phenomenal album, end to end. One of those albums, end to end, perfect. And the reason that it made my list as most influential to my current tastes is I feel like I can really trace where my taste in that kind of smaller sound, that more personal type of music, that comes from me hearing that album and just being absolutely blown away at what would I have been, 26, 25? So, yeah.
I don't know. I can't do math. But yeah, 25.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Excellent choice. I like it.
Yeah. Fleet Foxes' self-titled debut, 2008. Do yourself a favor. Check
Number
that one
9.
out.
All right. And now, before we continue, let's take a quick break.
Thanks for listening to Lists. We hope that wherever you get your podcasts, you'll be sure to follow us. And on top of that, go ahead and give us a rating. Maybe 5 stars. That would be really awesome. As a new podcast, as most of you know, the best way for us to get out there is word of mouth and to be promoted. And the way that happens is to move up those lists. And that happens with feedback from our listeners. And be sure to follow us. Be sure to rate us. It really helps us. So if you could take a minute and do that, that would be awesome. We would really appreciate it. So get on it. Now, back to the list.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, please subscribe and give us those ratings. That'd be awesome.
Very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much in advance.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Number 8. All right. I'm still in the 90s, apparently.
Dude, I'm liking this back and forth.
Okay. Again, vivid memories of, and this is going to date both of us immediately, watching TRL on MTV.
Oh my God.
For you young ones out there, that was Total Request Live, hosted by Carson Daly.
And so
where they would
you called
count
in,
down
right?
top 10 songs of the time. No, I mean, I didn't.
No. I mean, but that
did.
was the idea, right? People called in and voted for songs because this was pre-internet.
Yeah, I think you called in and picked a number
and whatever, and it was always waiting to see oh, did something get knocked from the top spot? And it was always Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys and crap like that.
And Christina Aguilera. And,
I mean, listen, as a 14-year-old boy,
well, there were other appeals to that.
There were certainly appeals to TRL that did not involve music.
The music quality.
A lot of the music was just my God. But occasionally you would get something on there that was good. So all right, I'm hoping that you're going to go down that lane.
So I have memories of watching TRL and being pissed that bad pop music was beating out songs from this album. And it's also the album that really why it's here as influencing my taste is it's the first double album that I really loved. Including all the deep cuts and being okay with some messy songs and it being kind of a mess.
This is from the 90s,
appreciating just the dump.
I'm trying my head. I'm trying to guess what this is. Double album from the 90s.
It is Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness by Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes.
Which is a great album. I will fight you.
No, that was one of the first cassette tapes that I ever bought on my own. I can still vividly remember holding the weird little plastic thing that it came in. Remember those?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That they had to take off for you. Now, for me, it was cassettes. We didn't have a CD player until later. But I had the double cassettes of Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. And
I only had it because I won my boombox. But continue.
There was a song on there that had... It had a curse word in the title, and I remember scratching it out with a black marker so that my dad wouldn't see it.
That's funny. Yeah.
Oh, Bullet with Butterfly Wings? Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. And Tonight. And
no, that is a seminal album.
Yeah.
What year did that come out?
Great. 1995.
95. TRL was on in 95. Are you serious?
It was, yeah.
Okay, I don't think I was watching TRL that early.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Man,
I still remember the Bullet with Butterfly Wings video and other things like that.
Ooh, man, that song.
It's a great album.
I'll tell you what, if you like...
1979 is my jam. That's a great song.
1979 is not on that album.
Oh yeah, it's on Silent Stream. That's right. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. See, I caught that one before our listeners had to.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
We'll still get emails anyway. But that's
1979 is a good song, but Melancholy's
not that album.
Just definitely got a United feel to it. I like that choice. That was on my list of brainstormed 40. It was.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
I had that album. I loved that album. I had to listen to that album with headphones on because my parents hated it.
Ah, okay. Good deal.
Good choice.
All right,
I'm glad you went heavy with the 90s, man.
I drilled back.
Yeah.
So I went kind of early a lot.
I don't know. It kind of, so do you feel like the early 90s were more formative to your current taste in music than say, so I guess what I'm asking is that period of your life as a, let's say, 10 to 16-year-old, do you feel like that was more significant in the development of your current musical taste than that period of like 20 to 26?
Honestly, probably not.
Huh.
But for like the top 10 only, drilling back, that's what made my top 10.
Right.
But like spots 11 through 70, it's probably much more represented by the later period.
And see, I think...
if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense to me. Because I think what you just articulated is the dilemma of this list. Is those two periods, to me, for me thinking about this, I would guess that for most people, those are the two most influential time periods in your life.
Yeah, like age 8 to 16 and 16 to 20.
No, I would even say
whatever.
Then there's a break in there. And then 20 to...
Oh. Yeah,
20 to 25, 20 to 26. I think for most people, those two eras are the most important. And I think, what you're talking about is kind of like the foundation of a house, whereas the 20 to 26 time period is like all of the, okay, now we're drywalling and stuff.
Right.
So that was the dilemma of this list. That's what makes this list so freaking hard. And I couldn't decide. I kept going back and forth between foundation and drywall.
Sure.
I'm going to run that analogy into the ground.
Yeah.
But I did. I kept doing that. And I'm curious. This is something I want to hear from listeners on. Like when you think about this, when you try and do your list, right? Or do you agree or disagree with the way that we approached them? Because clearly Scott and I have approached these in different ways.
I think
you're going more foundational, whereas you're more in that younger age, and my list is very, very heavily in my early 20s.
Okay,
which is that's fascinating to me. I want to hear from the listeners, like, which one do you think is more valid? Did I screw this up by not drilling down to the 90s like I should have?
No, I don't think it's a question of validity. It's just
it's valid because I said it's valid, right? Of course, but
sure.
These are our lists. Of course, it's valid.
Yeah.
Anybody's list is valid, whatever they come up with.
Right.
But I'm curious to hear from listeners kind of their philosophical thoughts on this, because it's an interesting question to me. It's fascinating that we did take opposing approaches. And I'm glad we did. All right. So anyway, let's go to my number 8. My number 8 is also from the year 2008. Another one. So like we were just saying,
your favorite year of music.
Apparently,
apparently.
That was very early in my relationship with my now wife. We were listening to a lot of music. I have a lot of great memories of she and I cooking, and we'd be in the kitchen together chopping up tomatoes and onions and doing whatever, cooking together, and just listening to albums. That was the big thing we did, and we listened to a lot of really good stuff. Anyway, 2008, I've got the Black Keys, Attack and Release.
Nice. I could have maybe guessed that the Black Keys were going to appear on you.
Yeah, I think anybody who knows me knows that the Black Keys were going to be a big one. For me, the hard thing about the Black Keys was figuring out which album.
Okay.
Because I initially had slotted in there 2010's Brothers, because that album kind of moves them away from kind of just a pretty literal impersonation of Delta blues, into you saw more of their other influences on Brothers. Attack and Release, for me, if you really look at it, Attack and Release has got some amazing songs on it with incredible guitar riffs, just great melodies. For me, Attack and Release was the point where it was the turning point for the Black Keys. That's where they stopped just doing, hey, let's try and be Howlin' Wolf. Let's try and be Junior Kimbrough. And look, they were really good at that, and I love those albums.
And I think they kind of went back to that on their newest one.
I don't know. To me, their newest one feels like it's just going back to El Camino. And I feel like they would have been actually better for going further back to like Attack and Release or something earlier than that, even if the idea was to strip it down. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is their first album they did with the famed producer Danger Mouse, and it delivered some songs that I just absolutely love. So He Won't really Break, good stuff. Things Ain't Like They Used to Be, the opening track, All You Ever Wanted. This album, nice. I remember listening to it repeatedly in the car, driving around my son after he was born. He'd be in the back seat in his little car seat, and I'd crank this up. I hope so, yeah. Great album.
Cool.
Not my favorite album by them, but definitely the most influential of theirs.
Yeah, that's the thing about this list. That's not the question.
Yeah, my favorite album by them is still Turn Blue. That album is freaking brilliant. But anyway, Attack and Release, excellent.
Very nice. I like it.
All right, 7.
Oh, okay, 7. All right. So this one you might remember. I'm out of the 90s, at least.
Oh, hey.
All the way to 2001.
Oh, all right.
Okay. So I'm like 16.
Yeah. 2001.
So this was definitely, and my influence, the reason why it's an influencer for me is this is kind of my first like singer-songwriter that I discovered type of thing.
Ooh, man. All right.
Which I can trace now to stuff I listen to today, like maybe Fiona Apple or Destroyer, Iron and Wine, Phosphorescent, even Regina Spektor, stuff like that, which is stuff I listen to now.
Yeah. Man, who is this?
And I don't think it's like a great album, and it's not like some influential thing in the history of music. But like no one else is going to think that.
But for you personally.
For me personally, the timing of when I first heard it.
2001. See, I would have known you. I would have known you listening to this. Why am I drawing a blank?
It's okay. The second I say it. It's the album Music for the Morning After by Pt.1.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was just listening to that like 3 weeks ago because I remember thinking, hey, what's Pt.1 been up to? And then I was like, ooh, Pt.1's gotten terrible. And I was like, I'm going to listen to that first one and see if I still like it. And I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
No, that album holds up. That's a damn good album. Good choice.
Yeah. Thank you. To the listeners, check that one out. Music for the Morning After by Pt.1.
Pt.1 did an album with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't dig it. I know that he did it. But I wasn't too keen on it. That was kind of
that first one. Obviously, heavy Springsteen feel. He's also from New Jersey.
Yes. Well, if you like Springsteen, you're gonna like Pt.1.
Yeah, it's really good stuff, and it was an influencer on me for sure.
That's a good one. Stuff. I can't believe that didn't come to my mind because I'll tell you, I did not.
That's a deep cut.
I didn't listen to that much when we were 16, but I wore that mug out when I was in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that a lot when I was in college because.
Yeah, that was definitely a car just on loop for months at a time.
Yeah. Oh, good album. Very good album.
Thank you.
I like that choice a lot.
All right.
And you're right, in that kind of singer-songwriter vein.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that leading to some of the things you talked about.
Yeah.
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 All right.
You're number 7.
Yeah, before I do number 7, just you did a good job, I think, of pointing out kind of that web we talked about earlier with Pt.1, and I totally forgot to mention that part of the reason that I listed the Black Keys as being so influential is that the Black Keys kind of were a reintroduction to me, or a deeper introduction to the music that they were really ripping off at the beginning. And I got into so much of that great blues music because of them, and some of their later stuff that echoes that great soul music and the great Motown sounds and stuff that, again, the Black Keys are really just lifting from. But like I couldn't live without my Otis Redding album. My daughter just the other day was like yanking it out of the record thing, just absentmindedly. She's a baby. And I was like, oh, you want to listen to Otis Redding? And I'm like, all right, smart baby.
Let's put it on.
But I think, so when I was putting the Black Keys on there, a lot of what I was thinking about was, well, man, where does this love I have for like Otis Redding come from? And it comes from...
Yeah, that's a good drill down. I like that.
Yeah. The Black Keys, like, the line is more from Otis Redding to them. But for me, they were my introduction to that in a bigger way. And I think they are that for a lot of people, which is what makes them, I think, a good band to listen to, because it does introduce you to stuff that you wouldn't otherwise. So anyway, sorry. That was a diversion, but I did want to mention that extension there. All right, you ready for 7?
Yes.
All right. Interesting that your number 7 was a singer-songwriter that got you into more singer-songwriters.
Oh, okay. You too?
Because mine is the exact same.
Oh,
now, right. I went back and forth on what was the album that got me the most into that kind of super stripped down, really good songwriting, great voice, singer-songwriter stuff, between Beck's 2002 album, Sea Change, which is might just be the most depressing album ever made. And I can tell you right now, after a very bad breakup that I handled very immaturely and moped about way too long, I remember circa that. 2003. I listened to Beck a lot, and
you were insufferable.
Oh my God, that was bad. Anyway, I apologize to anyone who had to deal with me for that year and a half. Good Lord,
it's all right.
I'm so very sorry. Anyway, it happens. But that's to everyone. Not the one. It happens to everyone. It's gonna get you too if you're listening, and it hasn't gotten you yet. But anyway, so I ended up not going with Beck's because it's just too damn depressing. I went with Ray LaMontagne's 2004 album, Trouble.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, one of those albums that just, when I heard it, it was just...
2012?
2004.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 2004.
Yeah, no, 2012. No. Yeah, 2004.
I was like, how can I be that wrong?
This is the one that's got, obviously, the title song on it, but it's got Shelter. It's got Jolene, the song. Most people, if they know Ray LaMontagne, they know Jolene because it's, I don't know. To me, Jolene's one of the best songs ever written. It's not a cover of Dolly Parton's Jolene.
Right.
But it's its own thing, and it's got just amazing lyrics. His voice is something else. Just one of those albums, you first hear it, and you stop whatever you're doing, and all of a sudden the only thing you're doing is listening to the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the power of a good singer-songwriter.
And that's every once in a while. It's once in a blue moon that happens, man. That you get an album, and all of a sudden you go from I'm doing this and listening to music to, okay, now I'm just listening to music.
Yeah.
And for me, this was that. And, he really he was my stepping stone to all of those singer-songwriters that there's a whole litany of them, male and female, that I really enjoy a lot. I could go on for hours about them, but I'm not going to. People that were definitely considered for this list, but Ray's the original for me.
I like it. Excellent choice.
All right. Yeah, that's 7.
All right. On to number 6. Okay, so for 6, I thought about what I like listening to a lot. And I mean, maybe it's not a huge surprise as a movie guy, but I like the movie soundtrack every now and then. And I listen to quite a few of them.
All right. Where
and so I just thought, okay, what movie soundtrack would be the beginning of liking film music? And there was really no other answer for me other than
I think I know where you're going.
The Star Wars motion picture soundtrack by John Williams.
All right. So, do you listen to enough of that kind of thing for that to be just? Obviously, you felt it was justified to be on the list.
Yeah, I'll throw on Hans Zimmer or Michael Giacchino or something in the background.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and also within the context of watching movies, too, I counted as well. I don't know if that's a cheat, but I don't know. It felt right for me.
Is that a cheat that it's in a movie? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
See,
I don't know.
If you're throwing it on in the background, then that's legit.
Okay.
But I don't know how many people are sitting there going, you know what I feel like listening to right now? The Star Wars soundtrack.
Hey, maybe I'm different, but that's me.
No, you don't. You don't ever just put on the Star Wars soundtrack. No way.
Well, not anymore, but as my influencer, it makes my list.
Okay. I mean, who's going to argue with that as being influential? I mean, come on.
Come on.
Are those movies even as popular as they are without his
no.
arrangements?
No. The music's a big part of it.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, he made Darth Vader.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to get like film soundtracks, film music on my list somewhere. So.
And high up. What was that? That was 6?
Yeah, it ended up being at 6 for me.
Wow. Huh. Okay. I'm a little...
All right.
And again, interesting little kind of weird parallel, sort of. Because my number 6 was almost the soundtrack to a film.
Oh, wow.
But it's a film that stars the lead singer of a band who went on to do solo work. He's probably more famous for his solo work, but I like the band that he was in. That it's honestly his solo work is him and the guys that are in the band, so it's really just the band. But anyway, so the movie was Once, which is a fantastic movie with amazing music. I remember my wife and I...
You should say his name.
Glenn Hansard. Irish singer-songwriter, very much styling himself after Van Morrison nowadays, but not so much at the time period where I'm talking about. He was still doing kind of more his own thing back then. Nowadays, I like what he's doing now, but it's definitely more towards the Ray LaMontagne type of thing, whereas before... So the band he was in was called The Frames, and the album that is my number 6 is 2008. Again, 2008's The Cost. All right, it's got this gore. I remember buying it and just holding it in my hands because the album art was so beautiful. It's like these ferns up against a sort of translucent paper. I don't know how to describe it. I'll put a picture up or something. But it was striking. And then you put the album on, and it opens with this song called Song for Someone. And it starts, and this is what, to me, Glenn Hansard is so good at. And he did it so much more when he was in The Frames than he does now. And it starts with a song for someone that starts and just kind of builds and adds a layer, and then it just kind of explodes into this crescendo of epic glory. And it's his voice. I mean, Scott, you know Glenn Hansard's voice.
Yes.
How do you describe Glenn Hansard's voice? Like, it is...
you just have to hear it.
It's godlike. He has this
angelic sort of.
It's I don't know how to describe his voice. All I know is I remember sitting in the theater. The movie Once opens with Glenn Hansard busking on the corner in Ireland, and the girl that he meets is watching him, and it opens with him playing the song, and it's just him and his guitar, and it builds and builds and builds and does the same thing, crescendos like that. And I remember sitting in that movie theater, and every hair on my arms was sticking straight up, and I was shaking because it was so powerful, so insanely powerful what he had just done. Just him and a guitar. And anyway, this album opens with a song that does that same sort of thing and just knocks you. It's a haymaker. It's an absolute haymaker of a song. And from there, the whole album just is perfect. So this album actually was the source of some controversy. You probably remember this better than anyone because you're such a film buff. Which was that Glenn Hansard and Marketa Irglova, who starred with him in the film, and they put out an album together afterwards, and she sang with him throughout the film, and beautiful. But anyway, he and Marketa Irglova performed this at the Oscars.
Right.
The song Falling Slowly, which most people probably know. And a lot of people were upset because they felt that it didn't deserve to be up for Best Original Song because it had been released the previous year on the album that I just named, The Cost. And
right.
A version of it was done with The Frames. And I remember hearing it in the movie and going, I like the Frames version better.
Oh, okay.
But the Frames version is actually now I know that anybody who's familiar with that song the other way is gonna hate the Frames version, but you will like.
Well, yeah, whatever you hear first.
This to me is an album. It's hard for me to imagine anybody not liking. I don't know. This album blew me away. And it was so hugely influential on me because that voice, his voice, that became something that I began to look for in everything.
Sure.
That power. Yeah. And again,
and not find very often.
Honestly, I don't think that there's anybody out there. I think if there's one person, if I had to say who's got the best voice right now, male voice, because I think there's a differentiation there, or maybe they're not. Maybe it's apples to apples. Maybe it's apples to oranges. I don't know. People would have to weigh in on that one. But anyway, to me, the voice that is a powerful instrument is Glenn Hansard's, and which is why I'm kind of bummed at his most recent albums where he's not using it as much.
Oh,
I think he might have torn something. I don't know what's going on with him. But Glenn Hansard, if you're listening, Mr. Hansard, I love you. You've got the most amazing voice in the world. And when you build songs up and you explode with that voice of yours, it never gets old. So please start doing it again. I dig the whole Van Morrison thing. That's great. But, bring back you.
All right, there you have it. I'm sure he's listening.
That's my plea to Glenn Hansard. It's out there.
I'm sure. He'll hear it, I'm sure.
Inevitably. But anyway, The Cost by The Frames. Just do yourself a favor. Oh, my goodness.
All right, so there we are. We're at the halfway point. All right, everyone. So that is the conclusion of what's going to be part 1 of this podcast. We're going to stop right here. Please be sure and find part 2 to get the rest of these lists. And thank you for listening. Bye.